He better call Becky with the good hair.
Who is Becky? From the moment Beyoncé called her out on her 2016 album Lemonade, Becky instantly became the subject of memes, think pieces, and Twitter mobs, all of them trying to discern the identity of this girl with the good hair.
Rachel Roy denies she's a Becky with the good hair as Rita Ora tosses herself into all the Lemonade speculation.
But as it turns out, Becky is all around us. For centuries, the Becky has become a convenient archetype of a kind of white femininity, someone who may or may not have good hair.
Regina George is flawless.
Your hair's insured for $10,000.
But who is largely identified by her obliviousness. The Becky is someone our culture both reveres and looks down upon for her appearance, her privileges, and her willfully naive behavior.
So, Rebecca, being single during the holidays can be especially difficult, especially when,
And by exploring the qualities we see in Becky's depicted on screen, we can get a better idea of the part she plays in our world. She's a young white woman who's defined by being desirable.
You need to wear a bra.
Oh no, I don't actually. They kind of just stay up on their own.
Unlike the Karen, Becky is in her prime. She can easily use her sexuality to get what she wants.
I'm a little bit single, even when I'm not.
Becky is also notoriously basic. Her interests are mainstream and ordinary, which helps her fit in, but also makes her seem shallow.
You know, she's beautiful and deep, I'm sure.
Yeah, but see, there's a difference between like and love. Because I like my Skechers, but I love my Prada backpack.
She can also be entitled. People go out of their way to accommodate her, allowing her to avoid any brushes with disappointment or rejection.
Did he just talk to me like I'm ugly?
This makes her unaware of other people's needs or suffering. A Becky's form of ignorance may be less malicious than a Karen's, but she can be just as frustrating and harmful.
You're different, Star. I'm different. What, I'm the non-threatening black girl?
Yeah, you are.
But unlike Karen, Becky still has the potential to improve. We often see fictional Beckys undergoing genuine growth, becoming less naive and more considerate toward others after they become aware of their own privilege.
Think of how much it'll mean to East Compton. They deserve to go. Do the right thing, Dad.
But do we allow the Becky in real life the same opportunity for redemption?
Miss Geist? Cher? I want to help. That would be wonderful. I felt better already.
Here's our take on the Becky as privilege personified, the damage she causes both willfully and unintentionally, and whether there could be more to Becky if we just give her a chance.
Hi everyone!
So a lot of you have been asking us for a while now to talk about the ending of Fleabag.
And there's so much to discuss there, right? What does the hot priest symbolize?
What does it mean when she waves goodbye to the camera? Is she breaking up with us?
And what's up with the fox?
Thus, we are really excited to announce that not only are we dissecting this iconic finale,
but we're going right to the source, and we're partnering with Amazon Prime Video to do it.
Today we're launching The Takeaway on the Amazon Prime Video YouTube channel,
where we get to delve into the endings of our favorite Amazon Prime Video originals, answering their big questions and exploring the deeper meanings and the messages they leave us with.
So after you watch this video, please click the link in the description below and check out The Takeaway on the Amazon Prime Video YouTube channel.
And let us know what you think and show your support by liking, commenting, and subscribing.
And telling us which Amazon originals you want to take away on next. The Takeaway.
Picking up where the story left off.
Because when the show ends,
that's when the conversation starts.
Becky might be basic, but being the default just makes her more desirable.
I'm bitchin', great hair. The boys all love to stare. I'm wanted, I'm hot, I'm everything you're not.
There's a reason it's called conventional beauty. The Becky represents the patriarchal, Eurocentric ideal of attractiveness. The Becky is inseparable from her race. Over the years, she has come to be defined as a ditzy, ignorant white girl.
So if you're from Africa, why are you white?
Oh my God, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white.
Pop culture has long venerated the Becky's most common features, blonde hair, blue eyes, white skin, while diminishing all others, which has long made the Becky the standard by which all others must be judged.
Oh my God, Becky, look at her butt.
It is so big.
This unfortunate racial bias means we know instinctively who Beyoncé is talking about, even if a literal Becky doesn't exist. She's the kind of woman your husband would want because of her good hair, which we can infer to be straighter, with a sleeker texture, not the tight curls our culture has stigmatized.
Becky. Body's not even cold yet and he's got my blonde Becky.
As Lauren Levinson wrote for Pop Sugar, Beyoncé's lyric sheds light on an overall picture when it comes to how black, coarse hair is perceived, since the former is good and the latter is assumed to be the opposite.
I reached out to you because I liked you. So I got a picture of a cute blonde to make you like me back.
We can see an illustration of this unfair standard in 1999's 10 Things I Hate About You. Bianca and Chastity are both pretty and outgoing, if a little superficial.
I know you can be overwhelmed, and you can be underwhelmed, but can you ever just be whelmed?
I think you can in Europe.
But nobody seems to pay Chastity much attention. She's just Bianca's friend, and not considered to be a serious romantic interest, at least not until it's clear that Bianca is unavailable.
Joey just picked me up.
Oh, well, congratulations. He's all yours.
Very generous, princess.
The Becky always gets more than her fair share of attention, which leaves everyone around her feeling insecure about measuring up. This is true of one of the very first Beckys. As Kara Kelly pointed out in USA Today, the title character of Daphne du Maurier's novel Rebecca lays her claim to the trope as the woman who will always be in a man's head. After Rebecca dies, her husband's new wife is haunted by stories of how great she was.
She was the love of his life. She was just one of those bloody annoying people who was irresistible to everybody. Men, women, children, animals.
The second Mrs. De Winter doesn't even get her own first name in the story. She's forever stuck in Rebecca's shadow, doing her best to live up to those impossible standards and being made to feel unworthy of even trying.
You'll never replace her. You can't replace her.
But we also discover that Rebecca wasn't as great as she seemed. She turns out to have been a master manipulator with little regard for her husband except his status.
She relished it, playing the part, the perfect wife, knowing that I would never divorce her.
Rebecca was able to seduce her way into getting whatever she wanted, a facet we can see in another original Becky, Becky Sharp, in William Makepeace Thackeray's 1848 novel Vanity Fair, manages to work her way up the social ladder by flirting with wealthy men, which earns her the scorn of other women.
I had thought her a mere social climber. I see now she's a mountaineer.
Vanity Fair's Becky is intelligent and witty, amoral and calculating, a far cry from the oblivious stereotype she's since become.
I'll manage.
Won't you just? There never was a woman who could manage like you, Becky Sharp.
But she similarly shows us how easily the Becky's veil of beauty and innocence can mask the damage she causes to others. The Becky's overwhelming pretty privilege may actually warp her sense of reality.
You're so beautiful, everything in life should be free.
Their advantages can give them a simplistic, blinkered outlook on life.
I don't skate through life, David. I walk through life. In really nice shoes.
In Bring It On, Kirsten Dunst's Torrance awakens to her Beckiness when she discovers that her cheerleading team has been stealing its routines from black students, and that she'd never even thought to question it.
I swear I had no idea.
Well, now you do.
A Becky's life is easy because she's so used to being appreciated that she never stops to examine how it comes at the expense of others being underappreciated.
Guys, like every time we get some, here y'all come trying to steal it, putting some blonde hair on it, and calling it something different.
Being unaware of this privilege doesn't absolve Becky, even if it doesn't make her as malevolent as some others.
I mean, she's black, but she doesn't talk like them.
Excuse me?
Well, not all the time.
It's possible that the Becky plays up her naivete, using her obliviousness to excuse behavior that she knows to be wrong, simply because she knows she's unlikely to be called on it.
What's that say? Caitlin, cousin is,
Fat whore.
Okay, calm down, Miss George.
Why would someone write that? That's just so mean.
Don't worry, we're gonna find out who did it.
And even if her ignorance isn't a ploy, there's hardly an excuse to be made for not being aware of your own privilege and how it manifests in the world.
You can't even see that you're acting racist, huh? 'Cause I'm not.
In the realm of memes, Becky is often mentioned right alongside a Karen, but despite what some on the internet have suggested, the Becky isn't simply a young Karen or an even younger Susan. On a fundamental level, Becky and Karen do have some important things in common. The Becky and Karen both know what it's like to have their feelings prioritized, which explains why they're so used to getting their way.
I'm sorry, did I enter a wormhole to a universe where this coffee house does not possess the technology to heat my favorite autumnal tradition to 210 degrees?
Being white women allows them to take their privileges for granted, and having a fundamentally easier time of it means neither has developed the coping tools to deal with their frustrations when they meet any resistance. Still, we never really find ourselves sympathizing with a Karen, and for good reason. She's not just entitled and demanding, but nosy and assertive, inserting herself into situations due to her own inflated sense of authority.
I want it destroyed, and I want a statement from this office apologizing for an obscene depiction of bestiality.
It is a picture of a centaur.
Karen is also more unapologetically racist, eager to defend any challenge she sees to her limited power and her place in the social hierarchy.
I once reported Oscar to the INS. Turns out he's clean, but I'm glad I did it.
We've seen Beckys whose complicity in those racist structures can be just as blatant, self-centered, or even evil.
Where are those keys, Rose?
You know I can't give you the keys, right, babe?
But Becky can often be far more subtle about it, protecting the lifestyle she believes she deserves from behind a more guileless front.
You know this isn't fair. We've always been good to you, and you're like family, and we'll take care of you, but you have to make things right.
Although a Becky isn't just a younger Karen, their main differences actually do come down to age. Growing out of being a young, desirable woman means losing the attention and the enabling that comes with it.
It'll be a 45-minute wait.
Oh, will it?
Yeah, it will.
If a woman's attitude is shaped by what she can get away with, her whole worldview comes crashing down as soon as those privileges start to disappear.
This is the third time I've come here. I haven't even been remotely harassed.
That is not what I'm paying for.
Have I lost it?
The women who become Karens are often bitter that their license to walk all over everyone has expired, and that resentment turns into an outwardly projected hostility that makes it easier to notice just how insufferable they really are.
Listen up, fives. A 10 is speaking.
The Becky does the opposite. Her youth and her charm help mask her more unacceptable tendencies.
When I was 15, my dad bought me my own boat. Your own boat? What? He was trying to cheer me up. My pony was sick.
Her youth gives the Becky another advantage over the Karen. She still has the potential to change.
I think that if I'm gonna do this on my own, I need to do this on my own.
I respect that.
Our stories are rife with spoiled, naive women characters who learn the hard way that their actions have consequences and that life is not a game for them to play.
How could you be so unfeeling to Miss Bates?
It was not so very bad.
How could you be so insolent?
The ease with which she moves through the world creates a blind spot for the Becky, and we often see her confronted by a harsh reality that forces her to recognize it.
You're like full of yourself. Why are you like that?
I'm not saying that to be conceited. I hate it. I hate having to go along with everything my friends say.
That's when she's faced with a choice: retreat back into her bubble or mature into a more mindful person.
Have you always been this selfish?
And traditionally, her arc shows that Becky is more than capable of improving. Clueless's Cher starts the story as your typical Beverly Hills Becky, a well-meaning but self-absorbed teen who's used to everyone loving her and always getting her way.
What makes you think you can get teachers to change your grades?
Doesn't he understand?
Only the fact that I've done it every other semester.
She only changes after it finally sinks in that her attempts to do good things for others are inherently manipulative and self-serving.
I have contributed many hours helping two lonely teachers find romance.
Which I'll bet serves your interests more than theirs.
She makes the choice to use her own powers to help others.
Cher, what are you doing?
I'm captain of the Pismo Beach Disaster Relief.
I don't think they need your skis.
And this is what takes Cher off the trajectory to becoming a Karen that's trapped so many of her classmates.
Whatever.
For a Becky, becoming a Karen is the path of least resistance. Examining the privileges and pitfalls of her inherent Beckiness is her only chance to break the cycle.
I've been unpardonably vain.
I'm insufferably arrogant.
I am not basic. You're basic.
No, Mom. You're basic. And that's okay.
Aside from being privileged, the Becky is most commonly defined as basic. Urban Dictionary defines a Becky as a stereotypical basic white girl obsessed with Starbucks, Ugg boots, and trying to have a bigger butt.
Yes. Love that journey for me.
The site also reveals what's so bad about being basic. It's someone devoid of defining characteristics that make them interesting, extraordinary, or just simply worth devoting time and attention to.
A list of BuzzFeed's most motivational quotes for girl bosses under 30.
Compared to her capacity for manipulation and oblivious racism, it seems odd for most of the criticism of the Becky to come down on her tendency to be a little bland, but the focus on her basicness exposes some of the unfair fallacies of the Becky trope.
I feel like you're being super judgy, like I'm getting a real anti-me vibe off of you.
All those jokes about Ugg boots, Starbucks, and other avatars of so-called basic bitch tastes have become increasingly mainstream.
You burned the milk! Learn to make a pumpkin spice latte, you psychopath.
The basic bitch is a way of ridiculing young women for having the wrong interests and failing to have a personality that someone else, usually a man, deems worthy. It's an inherently misogynistic way of pitting women against each other for a man's approval.
Actually, I just want a regular coffee. Those white girl pumpkin spice lattes annoy me.
I'm in love.
Clueless mines a lot of humor out of Josh making fun of Cher for her preoccupations with fashion and social status, which means he can't take her seriously.
In some parts of the universe, maybe not in contempo casual, but in some parts, it's considered cool to know what's going on in the world.
Meanwhile, Josh is his own version of basic, with his goatee, his Nietzsche paperback, and his love of maudlin alternative rock.
So, the flannel shirt deal, is that a nod to the crispy Seattle weather, or are you just trying to stay warm in front of the refrigerator?
Although the film shows Cher maturing by becoming more aware of her privilege, ultimately Josh matures just as much by letting go of his prejudice and realizing that Cher's basicness doesn't negate her value.
She didn't mean any harm.
I'm gonna get killed because she's a moron.
She's not a moron.
This notion that basic is bad often plays out in the false dichotomy of the Becky and the weird girl, whose quirkiness and individuality we're meant to see as a noble contrast to the Becky's blandness.
She wears high heels, I wear sneakers. She's cheer captain and I'm on the bleachers.
But this isn't really an indictment of being basic either. It's more about the fear imposed by the construct of a social hierarchy, which only exists if the weird girl and Becky both agree to give it power. Look at One Tree Hill's basic Brooke Davis and resident weird girl Peyton Sawyer, who reject this notion and remain best friends. Peyton is a self-styled outsider who believes deeply that she's different.
I guess I'm just a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside a bitch.
Or maybe just a tortured artist.
But she also knows Brooke is a loyal, warm, fierce kind of person, and her appreciation for these qualities tends to overrule any distaste Peyton might have for Brooke's Beckiness.
My best friend is funny, intelligent, creative.
Both Cher and Brooke show us how the Becky, for all her privilege, her predictable tastes, and her ability to rile others with her untroubled life, also has the capacity to be kind and giving, so long as she is sufficiently grounded. Her being oblivious to the harm she can cause is often the only thing that prevents the Becky from doing better.
I respect what you guys did out there. You guys were good.
Thanks. You were better.
It's her responsibility to make those changes for herself, but it's our responsibility to not just resort to mocking or insulting her, but to offer her the guidance and the constructive criticism she needs.
Welcome to the real world. It sucks. You're gonna love it.
Although she's defined by her desirability, the Becky is often dismissed as boring too, as though she's not even worth considering other than as a sexual object or as a symbol for everything that's wrong with white people.
The officer did see a weapon. He saw a hairbrush. That looked like a weapon. What's this in my hand right now? You gonna tell me that this looks like a weapon? In his hand, yes.
But this is a limited way of thinking, one that dismisses the potential for Beckys to surprise, to overcome their own entitlement, and to awaken to new ways of using their femininity to empower not just themselves, but others.
I want to love glitter and also stand up for
the double standards that exist in our society.
Of course, that's only if they choose to. It's incredibly easy for a Becky to just continue coasting, just as it is for us to remain ensconced in our own assumptions, making pumpkin spice jokes and assuming people are incapable of change. But Beckys don't have to end up as Karens. All it takes is us looking beyond their good hair and trying to locate a good heart.
Why are you being so nice to me? Because you're letting me.
And now, check out The Takeaway, a brand new series on the Amazon Prime Video channel.
Find out once and for all what the deeper message was in that Fleabag ending.
You can help us make more episodes of The Takeaway by commenting, liking, and subscribing to the Amazon Prime Video channel.
Tell us which Amazon original you want a takeaway on next.
Because when the show ends,
the conversation begins.